Khmer community in New Zealand demands Thailand strictly adhere to the ceasefire and release Cambodian soldiers unconditionally. Auckland, New Zealand, August 3, 2025. Approximately 700 members of the Khmer community in New Zealand gathered today at Aotea Square in central Auckland to voice their concerns over the ongoing tensions between Cambodia and Thailand. The rally was organized to demand that Thailand strictly adheres to the recently brokered ceasefire agreement, unconditionally releases 20 detained Cambodian soldiers, and to express gratitude to U.S. President Donald Trump for his role in facilitating peace talks, while also supporting his nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. Background of the conflict. The protest comes in the wake of a fragile ceasefire agreement between Thailand and Cambodia, effective from midnight on July 28, 2025, following 5 days of intense border clashes that resulted in at least 43 deaths and displaced over 300,000 people. The conflict, centered around disputed border territories including ancient Khmer temples like Preah Vihar and Prasat Tamun Thum, escalated after a Cambodian soldier was killed in May and further intensified last week when 5 Thai soldiers were injured in a landmine explosion. Both nations have traded accusations of initiating the violence, with Thailand alleging Cambodian ceasefire violations and Cambodia denying these claims, asserting strict adherence to the truce. The ceasefire, mediated by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and supported by U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to pause trade negotiations with both nations, has been described as tenuous. Thailand's military reported capturing 20 Cambodian soldiers on July 29, 2025, hours after the ceasefire took effect, prompting Cambodia to call for their immediate and unconditional release under international humanitarian law. As of August 1, 2025, Thailand has released 2 of the detained soldiers, but the remaining 18 are still held, awaiting further negotiations scheduled for August 4 to 7 in Malaysia. The rally at Aotea Square. The Khmer community in New Zealand, many of whom have roots in Cambodia and maintain strong cultural and familial ties to their homeland, organized the demonstration to draw international attention to the plight of the detained soldiers and the need for a lasting peace. Protesters carried banners and chanted slogans calling for Thailand to honor the ceasefire agreement fully and release the captured soldiers without conditions. Community leaders emphasized that the detentions violate the spirit of the ceasefire and international norms, citing the 1949 Geneva Convention. Speakers at the rally also expressed deep appreciation for President Trump's intervention, crediting his diplomatic pressure, particularly his threat to halt trade negotiations with both nations, for pushing Thailand and Cambodia to the negotiating table. The community voiced strong support for Trump's nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize, citing his role in de-escalating the conflict as a significant contribution to regional stability. Protesters highlighted Trump's call with Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and Thai Acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechai Yachai, which led to the ceasefire announced in Malaysia. Community voices. Soka Mas, a spokesperson for the Khmer community of New Zealand, addressed the crowd, stating, "We stand here today not only as Cambodians, but as global citizens demanding peace and justice. Thailand must respect the ceasefire and release our soldiers immediately. We are grateful to President Trump for his leadership in bringing both sides to talk, and we believe his efforts deserve recognition with the Nobel Peace Prize." Another protester, Chantha Lai, a Cambodian New Zealander who fled the Khmer Rouge genocide in the 1970s, shared her personal connection to the issue. "I know the pain of war and displacement. The soldiers detained by Thailand have families waiting for them. We cannot allow this ceasefire to falter. Peace must prevail, and we thank those, like President Trump, who have worked to stop the fighting." Broader context and challenges. The ceasefire, while holding as of August 3, 2025, remains fragile, with both sides accusing each other of violations in the initial hours after its implementation. Thai military spokesperson Major General Winthai Suvaray claimed Cambodian forces attacked multiple locations post-ceasefire, while Cambodian Defense Ministry spokesperson Lieutenant General Mali Sochiata rejected these allegations, asserting strict adherence to the truce. Meetings between military commanders on July 29, 2025, resulted in agreements to halt troop movements and establish coordination teams, but the detention of Cambodian soldiers continues to be a sticking point. Analysts warn that the ceasefire's success depends on sustained international monitoring and pressure. The involvement of ASEAN, the US, and China has been critical, but deep-seated nationalist sentiments and historical disputes over the 800-kilometer border dating back to the French colonial era complicate long-term resolution. The upcoming General Border Committee meeting in Malaysia, involving defense ministers and military leaders, is seen as a critical step toward solidifying the truce and addressing the soldiers' release. International and regional response. The United Nations, through Human Rights Chief Volker Turk, has urged both nations to fully implement the ceasefire and prioritize civilian safety. Human Rights Watch has called for a UN-led investigation into alleged war crimes, citing the use of cluster munitions and civilian casualties during the conflict. The Khmer community's rally in Auckland aligns with these international calls for accountability and peace. Posts on X reflect growing sentiment among some Cambodians and their supporters, accusing Thailand of violating the ceasefire by detaining soldiers and questioning its commitment to peace. These posts, while not conclusive, highlight the emotional weight of the issue for the Cambodian diaspora. Looking forward, the Khmer community in New Zealand plans to continue advocating for the release of the detained soldiers and a permanent resolution to the border dispute. Organizers of the rally at Aotea Square announced plans to send a petition to the Thai embassy in Wellington, urging the immediate release of the 18 remaining Cambodian soldiers and full compliance with the ceasefire terms. As the situation evolves, the community remains hopeful that international pressure, particularly from the US and ASEAN, will lead to a lasting peace. For now, the rally at Aotea Square stands as a powerful statement of solidarity and a call for justice from the Khmer diaspora in New Zealand.